I wanted to put together my 90-second case or so on something that you and I do not see eye to eye on, and you could give me a propaganda analysis or logic analysis and grade my argument. Here is the case for the return of Stefan Molyneux to Twitter. Assume the human race has existed for 10,000 years. For 99.9% of human history, the opportunity cost and monetary cost of communicating information has been extraordinarily high. Today, thanks to Elon Musk, you, Mr. Molyneux, the most important philosopher in the English-speaking language, have been reinstated to Twitter, now X, meaning the site's 611 million monthly visitors could have access to free domain content. My small account with 14,000 followers received 73,000 impressions in the last 3 months. With your account at 380,000 followers, consider how many thirsty horses can be brought to the free domain well of truth. Even your most recent tweet has 520 likes. Considering my college history course had only 50 students in total, it's reasonable to believe that you're at least 10 times as influential as an Arizona State University professor. Yes, it's better to have 20 dedicated students than 10,000 uninterested students. The problem is, you don't know who these dedicated people are in advance. You could drastically increase your capacity to bring the very free education progressives pretend to offer and outcompete the psychopathic sophists, politicians, journalists, academics, and media elites. As Socrates was enlightening the common man in the Agora, X is the marketplace of today, where you can extend your global reach at a microscopic opportunity cost and zero monetary cost. I can see your return tweet now. Not sure if Taylor Swift has had any kids yet. If so, Taylor, along with all parents and future parents, can enjoy a free PDF of my new book at peacefulparenting.com. The most important topics communicated to millions of people at your fingertips. Yes, the evil bastards of old Twitter owe you a sincere apology. I ask that you do not let Jack Dorsey, being a prick, stop you from communicating the importance of truth and voluntarism to your hundreds of thousands of X-followers. They committed fraud by banning you. You never violated the terms of service. But X could possibly be the best bulwark philosophers have against the psychopath class who is unapologetically provoking nuclear wars and inflating our currency, wiping away our savings. I ask that you take advantage of this technology, something kings and queens of the past never could have imagined anyone would ever have access to, and increase your unique capacity to improve the lives of millions of X users as you have mine.
Well, I would add to that beautiful case to say that if I'm not tweeting on X about peaceful parenting, how many hundreds of thousands of children are going to continue to experience violence because of what I don't do? And do I not have some responsibility for that? So listen, man, I think that's a great case. And I'm just going to pretend I'm having internet difficulties because it's a hard one to answer. So glitch. So no, it's a great case. And in fact, I happened to see somebody shared with me that people were tweeting about me. And I mean, combined, the tweets got like, I don't know, like two tweets about me got like 8 million views, which was, I mean, it's nice to see. It's nice to see that people still remember me. It's also not quite so nice to see. I actually got the website called One Website Over because that's sort of been my case that people are like, hey, whatever happened to that guy? Is he still alive? Is he still, what's he doing? And it's like, I'm just one website over, right? So listen, I hear what you're saying, and you are whispering sweet worm tongue sounds into my ear because it is very very tempting. It is very tempting. I wrestle with this. I wouldn't say quite on a daily basis, but I would certainly say that the temptation is real. The temptation is real. So the counter arguments go something like this. So if I do have a fairly unique capacity to explain philosophy in practical ways to the world, and I think that's fairly safe to say, then what I should do is aim for maximum philosophy. Now, the question is, do you do maximum philosophy in the here and now, or do you do maximum philosophy in the future? Now, if you do maximum philosophy in the here and now, you just get killed. Like, historically, this is sort of what happens, right? Or disabled in some manner, right? So the more traction I have in the present, the more risk there is. Obviously, we can see that, and we can see that all over the world. In the present, we can look at tons of examples in the past. And that would minimize philosophy in the future, right? So if I'm aiming for maximum philosophy, the question is a bird in the hand versus two in the bush, right? So if I achieve maximum philosophy now, the blowback is obviously high, and I've experienced it to some degree, but more. So if I'm aiming for maximum philosophy, then I would put more of my thoughts down to help the future as a whole, rather than have a big series of changes towards philosophy in the present because of the blowback associated with that. So that's sort of one argument. The second is, of course, what you're asking or what you're suggesting, which again, I really appreciate you bringing up, is something that I have already done. And I've done that for 40 years, which is to go out with as much charm and positivity and facts and reason and evidence into the public square to talk. And the result of that was, the destruction of significant portions of my life's work, lots of falsehoods around me, violence, and so on. And what would prevent that from reoccurring? You say, yes, well, but, there's the new guy at the helm, and, I think Elon is doing fantastic service to the world, and obviously he's a very principled man when it comes to free speech. And boy, talk about putting where your money where your mouth is. That's something and a half. And so I also recognize that I don't even believe it was Jack Dorsey in particular. We can sort of go back into the sort of actors behind this kind of stuff, but I don't think that obviously Elon Musk is not personally responsible for what people did prior, but the organization is the organization. And just as it inherits the users, and it inherits the assets, and it inherits the debt, it also inherits the moral choices made by those beforehand. So if I were to go back on Twitter without any apologies, without any restitution, without any certainties that it wasn't going to happen again, then I would be re-entering into a abusive relationship with promises of change, but with no promises of change. So what I do is I say to myself, if somebody called into one of my shows and said, I was in this really abusive relationship, and the guy has said he'll take me back. He's gone to therapy, let's say, whatever analogy you want to use about the new ownership. So I was in this relationship with this guy who, set fire to half my life's work or whatever, but he said he'll take me back. And well, he hasn't said so, but I've heard through some friends that I can contact him. Why would I be in pursuit of that relationship? Well, he's changed. Well, okay. But if he's changed, there would be evidence of that in the form of apologies and restitution. Now, I understand the legal system. I understand the complications involved with all of that. But nonetheless, would you counsel someone to go back into an abusive relationship with somebody who signaled that they were open to resuming that relationship, but who'd made no public apologies or withdrawal of prior insults?
No.
So I can't. And listen, again, your temptation is great, and I really appreciate you bringing it up. But I can't, and I'm not suggesting you're suggesting this, of course, but just in my own mind, if I wouldn't give the advice, I can't take it. And the idea that I could do more in the here and now, of course, absolutely, there is. Would that cost me more in the future? Possibly. I mean, we can see that we don't have to go through the list, but everybody knows them. The truth tellers who both in the past and in the present have come to very bad ends. It's not a very short list. Unfortunately, it's a very long list. So I'm aiming for maximum philosophy. I have a standard of resuming relationships that does require restitution and apologies and some commitment as to it not happening again. And those are not forthcoming for reasons that I can vaguely understand from a legal standpoint, but still are important. And so I just have to follow the advice that I've given others. I have to aim in a practical sense for maximum philosophy. And I can't resume a relationship where there has been extreme levels of mistreatment without apologies, restitution, and certainties to a large degree that it's not going to happen again. So, and this is not even anything negative towards Elon Musk. I mean, I think that there are lots of pressures put on businesses regarding free speech that are hard to figure out and hard to know where they're originating from, but I don't think it's just internal. So they can't make that guarantee, right? Because if it's just a purely internal matter, that's one thing. But if there are other factors involved in these kinds of censorship things, then they can't make those guarantees. So I will continue to do maximum philosophy for the future. You know, I have, like all philosophers, should have a 500-year business plan, because if you don't, I think it keeps you away from the core truths that most influence the future. It is, you know, there's the old saying, no prophet is respected in his own country. Well, philosophers are attacked by the culture that is and define positively the culture to come. And so recognizing that as a pattern, the more I focus on the present, the less I influence the future. The more I focus on the future, the less I need to influence in the present, and the more I can change the future. I think it's just a matter of patience for me. So again, it's a great case that you brought up, and I am tempted by it on a regular basis, but I do have to sort of grit my teeth and focus on those aspects.